Okay guys, so welcome back to the crime scene processing guide, and we were discussing about all these procedures which has to be taken care, and we have discussed in the previous session about the team leader and what he has to do. Now there is a line of preparation. If you will see, the search operation is having a line of preparation. We have discussed briefly these. Now we are going to discuss in detail, so please be attentive here. Now see, what do we mean by preparation actually? In preparation, what the investigating officer has to do, he has to prepare all the legal requirements, all the technical requirements and the scientific requirements to investigate a crime or to process a crime scene. I hope you understand. Legal requirement means according to the case, whether it is a theft case, whether it is burglary case, whether it is murder case, whether it is a sexual assault case, whatever the case is, according to that he need to know the legal requirements, the situations as per the country applicable. Okay, so he need to obtain the search warrant. First of all, you cannot go blindly in anybody's house and can start your search. So you need to have a proper search warrant. Okay, from where it has to be issued, from whom it has to be issued, and to whom it has to be given. They should know each and everything. Now he must discuss the plan with his team whenever possible. Crime scene processing and crime scene investigation is a teamwork. So whenever possible or as far as possible, you should discuss with your team that what you are going to do, how you are going to approach the crime scene, what is the outline of your plan of search, and to collect the evidences. Everything should be discussed. What will happen? With a healthy discussion, many things will be cleared up, and you will get a clear guideline, clear outline for the plan of search. Okay, it's not only the responsibility of the team leader, though he is responsible to narrate it to other people, to the law enforcement, and to explain it to the law enforcement, but he is not only responsible, he is not the alone responsible person to the success or failure of a crime scene investigation. So this depends upon the discussion with the team members. Now consider the safety and comforts of all personnel. You may not know on which type of crime scene you are going. For example, it may be a scene of bomb explosion where you may have the live explosive device. So you need to consider all the safety measurements regarding to the evidences, regarding to the personals, that what type of kits, what type of clothing the personnel have to wear, what type of PPE kits have to be there with the personnel, and all those things. Okay, so this is about the preparation. Now when you approach the scene, of course one has to go to the scene, and what you have to do with your observatory skills, first you need to observe the crime scene and the surroundings. Okay, there may be certain discarded evidences. What do you mean by discarded evidences? Discarded clothing, bloody clothing, discarded cigarette butts can be there, discarded papers can be there, notes can be there. So we need to look for those evidences as well, because they might be very crucial in the line of investigation in further. So be alert, be informed, be observatory for such type of evidences, and please be attentive. You must have analytical and logical skills to create the hypothesis further by looking at the crime scene. Okay, so and you need to make a pertinent notes as to possible approach, that from where you have approached the crime scene, or on the crime scene what are the routes of entry and exit, because most of the evidences will be encountered at the route of entry or exit. Then you need to protect the crime scene. We had a large discussion about the protection of the crime scene in one of the lecture series, how to protect, what are the parameters of protection, what are the dangers. So all those things should be kept in mind. And one last thing which is there, keep all the unauthorized people out of the crime scene. Okay, and next is, now you have to start your preliminary survey. Now what is preliminary survey? A cautious walkthrough of the scene. A cautious walkthrough means, as I told you, you should not disturb the crime scene as far as possible. Why I'm saying as far as possible? There may be a person, there may be a victim, or there may be a criminal who is surviving for life, and you need to provide proper medical attention to him or to her. So there may be some misplacement of the evidences, so that is allowable, but you need to note it down that why this evidence have been misplaced, because the person was surviving for the life and you have to take this measure on the spot. So you can go ahead with the cautious walkthrough to the scene, that till what point you have to protect the crime scene, or which is very crucial point, or where are the majority of the evidences are lying. All this have to be taken care of. Then the person in charge maintain definitive, administrative and emotional control. You know, I told you in the how to be investigator, or I'll be telling you further how to be investigator. So one is, you have to be very poised, you have to be very calm during the investigation of any crime scene or during the processing of any crime scene, because you may encounter, you may confront any type of situation, any type of dead body, bad odor, or maybe too much complicated crime scene where you can get emotionally disturbed. So one has to be in his emotional control during the investigation or crime scene processing. Then you have to select the appropriate techniques of narration, whether you are going to narrate through audio device, through video device, or what narrations, what are your narration codes you are going to give to your team members. All this have to be pre-decided in the survey. Now, complete preliminary photograph. As I told you, one series of photographs should be completed for each and every evidence on the crime scene with different angles, without touching them, without using any reference scale, or without collecting them. Okay, so this photograph will keep the crime scene as a record to present in the courtroom, that in this position you have encountered, or in this situation you have encountered the crime scene. Okay, next is you have to organize your methods or your procedures, okay, for the problem areas. Next, number 6, what type of equipment you are going to use, who will be the personnel, who will be the specialist. That has to be decided in the preliminary survey, and then it has to be asked with the officials that who should be the expert, or who are those people you need at the crime scene for the processing. And you need to identify and protect the transient evidence first. What are transient evidence? Which are very much fragile, or which are in traces, and that can get fade away very quickly in the lapse of time. So you need to identify like hair, fiber, fingerprints, or maybe minute blood stains. All these are the evidences which need to be looked first, because they are in much danger to be lost. So they have to be identified first, and they have to be protected first. And this is all happening after the photography. Again, I am saying photography is the first most rule in any type of crime scene investigation. So do not forget to photograph the crime scene in the preliminary survey itself. Now you have to develop a hypothesis. There may be several hypotheses, because as I told you, it is a teamwork. So your team members may have several hypotheses, and it is good to have several hypotheses, because you are working on law of probability. Okay, that this crime can be committed in this possible way or in other possible way. So you need to work on the hypothesis, and you need to document each and everything, the environmental condition, the movement of the personnel, and whatever photographic log, everything. And if you encounter any vehicle in an accident case, the vehicle number, license number, keys position, all the meter readings should be noted down completely, which will prove very beneficial in the further stages of the investigation. Now you have to evaluate the possibilities for the physical evidences. First, it depends upon the case. If you are dealing with a theft case, so what type of evidence you are looking for? Are you looking for blood or a dead body on a theft case? Probably not. You are looking for fingerprints, you are looking for tool marks, you are looking for footwear marks. So you need to note down a a list of the possible evidences first of all, and then you need to check that what are the evidences present at the crime scene. And you always concentrate first on the transient evidence because they are very fragile. So first focus on that, and then on the accessible areas. Okay, as I told you, most of the items will be there at the route of entry and exit, and you have to consider that also whether it appears that some evidence have been advertently moved out of the place or seem to be odd in the place or have been staged or showing it as a fake crime scene. It has to be looked, because I told you in the function of forensic science to establish the corpus delicti. Corpus delicti means whether it is genuine crime scene or fake crime scene. It is also the work of the investigating officer. Okay, so next is how to prepare the narrative description. The main motive of this narrative description is to narrate the condition at the crime scene. And whom you are going to narrate? To your team members first of all, to the law enforcement, to the lawyers, to the bench of jury also. So this narrative description is very much necessary, and it depends upon your observatory skills first of all, and then what you have noted down. Okay, so it represents the scene from general to specific. Specific in the mean whether anything, whether door was closed from outside, door was locked from inside, or window was broken, or you found the victim in a particular position. All this should be narrated in the specific scheme. Okay, so method of narration can be written, audio or video, it depends. Now it is, you can use mobile phones also for complete narration. You can record it, okay, because it is now admissible in the courtroom. Prior to the digital photographs, only the film photographs, normal SLR photography were admissible in the courtroom. But nowadays, because it is very much obsolete that you don't use those old cameras anymore, so you have to use the digital cameras, and you have to go with the time and the pace. So we can use mobile phones as well. This I will discuss in detail in the section of photography. Then next is how to photograph the scene. So as I told you before, with proper planning, then keeping in mind the 3 exposures: overall, medium and close-up. Minimum 3, there is no maximum limit, again I'm saying. Then using a ABFO scale, I will teach you what is ABFO scale for the referencing to measure the size of the evidences. Even the large meter scales can be used. Meter tapes can be used on the crime scene for very large evidences like dead bodies, and if it is very large area. Okay, and then if you are using a scale device, first of all the photograph should be taken without these scale devices. Okay, and more concentration should be given at the point of entry, exit, etc. Now you should consider the aerial photography. What is aerial photography? Now with the help of drones, with the help of a ladder, with the help of or you are climbing on a height, okay, without disturbing the evidences. So please consider the aerial photography as well. It is a very big topic in itself. We will discuss this also in further videos. Now the photograph items, places to corroborate with the witnesses, victim and suspect. You should photograph from the eye level whenever feasible, but it is not always possible if something is lying beneath the bed. Okay, so you cannot photograph it at eye level. Eye level is 90-degree angle, okay, perpendicular to the plane of evidence, but it is not always possible, but try it. Okay, then for the latent fingerprint, the photograph should be taken into 1:1 ratio, and I prefer black and white photography for the fingerprints if they are on the multicolored surface, but you can use any. It can be filtered out later on by using the softwares as well. Now then, coming to the sketch. Sketching a crime scene is a great deal there. As I told you, sketch not only presents the dimensions but also the direction and the position of the evidences on the crime scene, which cannot be served by the photographs. So sketching is must. Now there are various parameters of sketching. okay, which we will discuss in the sketch slides separately. Now what should be mentioned on the sketch? The location, date, time, case identifier, the preparer who has prepared the sketch, weather condition, lighting condition, and all these other things. The key or the legends means the evidences, the number of evidences should be mentioned. Key is the indexing you have given, the coding you have given to the evidence. This should be mentioned on the sketches. Number of designations on a sketch can be there, the basic parameter, record position, evidence, okay, all this have to be there, which we will discuss in detail. Now you have to conduct a detailed search. Remember, we have already conducted the preliminary search with photographic, along with photography. Now it is the time to detail search. We are going to find out a method of detail search, which can be a grid, strip, lane, spiral, wheel search method. Whatever method we are going to decide, it has to be searched accordingly, and then we have to maintain a complete log of all the notations, all the evidences for all the items, okay, and we have to choose the containers appropriately, that what container, which type of container we are going to use for collecting particular evidences. And evidences should be sealed, packed properly at the crime scene itself, and be sure to obtain the known standards. If you have the suspects there itself, then you have to collect the known standards there itself. If you do not have the suspect, then while identifying the suspect later on, you need to collect the known or the control samples for a specimen to be compared with the crime samples, okay, and checking all the paperworks, all the recordings is also very much necessary. Then you have to conduct the final survey. Now again, we have not released the scene yet, it is final survey, okay, that anything has been left out. You need to work jointly with the team to check the accuracy or the completeness of the survey, and you have to double check the documentation for any possible errors if it has been, because you may be a very busy investigating officer or a forensic expert, you may overlook certain things, so it is always good to double check the things with the team members as well, and to check or ensure all the evidences are accounted. You have checked for all the evidences, though the rate of perfectness is still not 100%, because we may overlook certain invisible evidences, but we will try our best to see or to ensure the accounted evidences. Make sure you have already searched all the hidden places and hidden areas on the crime scene and have not overlooked any of them, but still it has the limitation, okay. Then the final thing is releasing the scene. Now it is the time to release the scene, or you can say crime scene cleanup, okay. So you are ready to release the scene now. Now the time, date of release, to whom you have released, by whom it has been released, it should be mentioned, okay. All the legal requirements should be considered there while releasing the crime scene, and it should be formally released. It should not be informally. Formally means with a warrant, with the legal note. It should be formally released that it has been the survey has been conducted completely, the evidence have been collected completely as far as possible, so it should be mentioned, okay. And whenever you are releasing, is there any person in charge to release the scene or to be guarded on the crime scene, it should be mentioned. And any specialists that have been utilized in that crime scene should be mentioned in the releasing, that so and so medical officer came and have done the examination or collection of these evidences, and the expert came for blood spatter, expert came for fingerprint, so and so expert was for question document. All these have to be explained in the releasing letter. So this was all about the crime scene processing. I hope you must have understood how to process the crime scene, and if a question comes regarding the crime scene processing, you have to mention all these things. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience.